let's get into the story. Let me say this, though. This is why I have nothing against these players getting NIL. I hope they save the money because not all of them are making it to the NFL. This is why you have, players trying to get 7th and 8th year eligibility. Is because they make making a lot of money in college now. But hopefully you dudes are saving it and you're paying your taxes because Uncle Sam is going to come knocking. So hopefully you young men are paying your taxes, because if you don't, you're going to end up like Quavo with a $2.9 million tax lien, and they don't play games about those liens. They will come after your accounts. Ask Umar. They will come after your accounts if you're not saying. But let's get into a guy who was pre-NIL. A guy from, I believe, Grayson, Georgia. He went to Grayson High School. #1 overall player, Robert Nkemdiche. This is sad. It really is. Now, he suffered a very weird injury. I think he fell from like a hotel balcony and injured himself. And people probably think he hasn't been right since, but I don't know. He's a former first-round draft pick. I think they said his career earnings were $13 million. And y'all know none of these guys invested any of it. They just spent it all. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, again, financial literacy is needed. You better get some financially smart people around you, and you start investing your money and saving your money instead of spending your money, so that when you retire, like Marshawn Lynch, you leave with all your NFL earnings, and the only money you spent was the endorsement money. Yeah, he was, Brian. The guy was considered the next great pass rusher out of Georgia. Georgia produces some of the best football players in the country, behind South Carolina. So let's get into this. According to TMZ, former NFL first-round pick Robert Nkemdiche found himself in some trouble last week when cops say they saw him walking out of a store with groceries in his pants. But it was past run-ins with the law that got him put in the slammer. According to a police report obtained by TMZ Sports, the former Arizona Cardinals defensive tackle was exiting a Kroger's in Georgia last week when an officer conducting a business area check says they observed a 31-year-old with a many large object, square and rectangular shapes consisting of concealed grocery items inside his sweatpants. The officer says that then called for backup as Nkemdiche walked to a gas station. According to reports, the cops then made contact with the 6'3", 300-pound Nkemdiche and immediately placed him in a double-locked handcuffs. Police stated Nkemdiche no longer had items in his pants, but says frozen grocery items and candy bars and almond milk were found after a search of a Kroger and gas station parking lots. Police then returned to Kroger to ask if the items were stolen, but the cops said a rep for the store said they did not want to press charges over the goods, but did want Nkemdiche criminally trespassed from the establishment. So they didn't want to press charges. I guess they didn't want the heat that could possibly come from it. I will say this is not good. I saw where apparently Robert had been playing in the Canadian Football League recently, as of 2024. It's just the NFL stands for not for long, right? And these guys need to understand financial literacy. Just because you're getting paid doesn't mean that you got to spend it all. Of course, you're going to have greedy family members that are going to want you to take care of them. You don't have to take care of none of them. If they want something for you, they got to earn it. But just giving them something is stupid and is not needed. Right? It really isn't. Look at what happened with Trent Richardson. He was helping family and it ruined him financially. Officers say they then ran Nkemdiche's name and found multiple warrants in several states in the system, including 3 in Georgia. The officer says county officials asked the officer to place a hold on Nkemdiche. The former Ole Miss star was ultimately taken to jail and booked. Nkemdiche was previously busted for drug possession in 2015 after an incident where he allegedly fell from a 4th floor window of a hotel. As for the stuff Nkemdiche allegedly jacked from the store, the reports say that it was perishable and had to be thrown out. This guy was the former #1 overall high school player. This is a guy who was a not number one overall, but he was a first-round draft pick. He just was never able to realize his potential. That's why he didn't last as long as he should have in the NFL. But this is why, again, you have to have a backup plan. You got to have that, and obviously he didn't. Football was everything to him. This is why they try to teach these guys financial literacy, and it just doesn't work. Both of Robert's parents are millionaires. One is a doctor. The other one's the biggest lawyers in Atlanta. He didn't have to do this. Really, I would figure that, especially living in Grayson. And I think I did hear his parents were successful. I didn't know that one was one of the biggest lawyers in Atlanta. So unless his parents cut him off, or unless he's just a thief, he just thought that the stuff was his. It's just crazy.
Wow, I actually went to Ole Miss with Robert and his brother Denzel back in 2015.
Really?
I had 2 classes with Robert. He seemed like a good guy, but was definitely a bit of a weirdo. What a shame.
Appreciate that, TW. Wow. So you went to school with him and his brother. Okay. I think that kind of describes Robert, because that's kind of been the thing with people saying that he's a bit weird, he's a bit off. Yeah, man, that describes him. From everything I've seen and read over the years, that describes him. It's sad because, again, I saw him through high school as far as his senior year and the hype and him getting to the NFL, and now he's stealing products out of a Kroger that he didn't need to steal. Why don't he go work for one of his parents? Why doesn't he use the connections he had from college or the NFL in order to get himself a gig? It just seemed like he might just be lazy. He might just be lazy, and he just wants to do things just to be doing it. Because if he comes from money, because again, he's from Grayson, Georgia. If he comes from money, he should not be stealing unless his parents cut him off. He done spent all his money and his parents done cut him off. If that's the case, then that's worse. This guy got multiple warrants in different states. This guy's going around just acting ignorant when he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. But ultimately, a lot of these guys really they have no guidance after college. It just seems like. And they just lose themselves, right? They don't have a football career. They're just another guy. You go from people recruiting you, people telling you the best thing ever, and then all of a sudden they don't care anymore. You're just another guy. You go to Ole Miss and you're just treated like another guy. Maybe he doesn't want his parents' help. Well, you better stop stealing before you get put in jail, to where you can't get out. You're in there for weeks and months because you're doing criminal acts. Just because your parents are successful is not going to keep you out of jail. It doesn't mean you should be going into a Kroger's and stealing. I don't think that Robert's a dumb guy, but you have resources that others don't have. You're not using it because you want to go and be a troublemaker, because that's what this looks like. Because if you really didn't have to steal, you just stole because you felt like it or you wanted to. Let me tell you something right now. That could get you in a lot of trouble, to where your parents can't do nothing for you. You better get your life together. You know, you're still a melanated man in America. It don't matter how successful your parents are. You're still going to be treated like just another melanated man. Just because the items are there doesn't mean you can just steal it. Could be a mental health situation. It could be, but the thing is, we haven't heard anything from him in years. As of 2024, he was playing in the Canadian Football League. So he was doing something as of 2024, but he's back. He's in Georgia, his home state, and he's committing crimes. Yeah, I agree. He is spoiled. Robert scored damn near perfect on the ACT. He's really a bit of a suburban kid, honestly. That could be what it is, because you got suburban kids that they want to be like the kids from the hood. Let's be real, they do, and they don't need to. You don't need to rebel against your successful parents. I don't know if one or two of his parents are African, but y'all know how they are about education and all that. And having success. Maybe they're hard on Robert and his brother. Nick Saban took Robert to an all-exclusive bigwig party in Atlanta. When was this? Was this when he was recruiting him, or was this sometime recently? But the thing is, Robert has resources that others don't. When you see players crash out after their football careers or NBA careers, they may not have those resources. Let's say you had an NBA player who was one and done in college, right? He didn't really build foundations with the alums of the school, with the coaches, and he flames out of the league, and he has no resources. But Robert has successful parents. He went to Ole Miss. He was able to build a foundation there, him and his brother, and he got drafted first round in the NFL. So he has high school, college, NFL resources. He could go back and be a coach at Grayson. Maybe he has asked for a job, but bro, if you can't get a job at Grayson or in Georgia, go elsewhere. You're a name. I see players now becoming coaches. You could do that, but he could just be lazy and doesn't want to work. Well, he's going to have to if he needs his bills paid. His parents are not going to want to continue to take care of him if they are. We don't even know if they are, right? Maybe he's just stubborn like that, but being stubborn will get you put in the slammer. It will. And hopefully he's able to get the situation rectified,